No matter what level you get to, those things are always happening. You showing up and you having your back. There is no reality where that is not happening for you. Hello and welcome to the Empress Podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey love, before we get to today's episode, I want to ask you to rate and review my podcast. Giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts would mean the world to me. I love knowing who's listening and what everyone is getting from the episode, so please take a moment of your time to share your thoughts, and I look forward to reading your reviews soon. Hey there, coffee lovers. Are you tired of settling for boring coffee? I have a treat for you. Today's episode is brought to you by Heartwork Coffee Bar, your one-stop destination for exceptional coffee experiences. Whether you're a coffee connoisseur or just someone who appreciates a great cup of joe, Heartwork Coffee Bar is here to elevate your coffee game to new heights. At Heartwork Coffee Bar, they take pride in their craft because each batch is carefully roasted to perfection, ensuring that every sip is a symphony of flavor. From the rich and the robust to the light and fruity, they have a coffee blend for every palate. And here's the best part. For you amazing podcast listeners, Heartwork Coffee Bar is offering an exclusive 10% discount on your purchase. Just use the code EMPRESS10 at checkout and you'll save big on your order. Why settle for ordinary when you can indulge in the extraordinary coffee from Heartwork Coffee Bar? Remember to use code EMPRESS10 for that special 10% discount and treat yourself to the coffee experience that you deserve. Don't miss out on this fantastic offer. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks to Heartwork Coffee Bar for making today's episode possible. Now go grab your favorite mug, brew a fresh cup, and enjoy the podcast with the perfect companion, Heartwork Coffee Bar. Cheers. Hey, hi, hello. How are you? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Jess. I'm happy to be here today. What we're going to get into today is talking about this concept, act as if. You know, there's a lot of misinformation because I've seen it online. I've seen a lot of people get very confused about what this means because I feel like the teachings around it create more confusion than clarity. So we're going to dive in today to make sure we get you that particular clarity on manifesting your goals. And if you haven't ever listened to one of my manifestation podcast episodes, I highly recommend that you do. But in summary, I break it down that manifestations are just as simple as goals. It's the same word. Think of it as a synonym, manifestation and goals. So the way that we go about any type of goal setting and accomplishing a goal has to be reasonable. It has to be grounded. That's different than, I would say, quote, realistic, end quote. Because for those of us, like high achievers like myself, we're going to keep pushing ourselves, right? Like we're going to keep going. And despite things that we don't necessarily see in our current reality, we're going to keep working towards what we want and what we know is really possible for us, even if there's not a shred of evidence that it could be possible for us. And so that's where we get to be unrealistic. That's where we get to have fun in our, like, not clinical delusions, but in our high self-esteem. Truly, I think it's just high and healthy confidence to keep pursuing something even in the face of, setbacks and a lot of no's. So one of the things that I see is that there's just simply not enough clarity about who you are and what you want. There are responses to act as if that are very vague. Act as if you're a millionaire. Okay, but what does that mean? You could act as if, but in your head, you might be thinking, well, a millionaire spends money this type of way and wears these types of clothes and is in these types of social circles. Yes, but what type of millionaire do you want to be? Once you have that $1 million, what is that money actually going to be doing for you and for the people around you? This is what you need to clarify. And I believe that money makes us more of who we are. When you really understand who you are, you're going to be able to act like that version of yourself much easier than by looking at what everyone else is doing and trying to walk lock and step with them. You need to know who you are. So this is why getting really clear on your core values is a key component in acting as if. If you are the type of person that values family, you're going to be valuing your family now, even if you don't have that millions of dollars yet, right? So if you're neglecting your family, but you say your core value is loving family, those two things are not matching up. You need to start acting as if you value your family, and maybe you don't have, again, that millions to give, but you do have some time, you do have some resources. Then that's where you need to be putting your time and your resources, in the family or in whatever area that you say that you really value. If you value freedom, then it's doing you no good to go on a hot girl walk and think about all the problems that you have and all the ways that you're trapped and how you're never going to get out of it. That isn't freedom. That's not mental freedom. That's not emotional freedom, right? The version of you that is free is grateful for the freedom that they have at whatever level that they are experiencing that freedom. You have to create goals that push you, because the future version of yourself, the version of yourself that has the thing that you want and is living in that lifestyle day in and day out, they didn't get there by not doing anything. And so your goals definitely have to be big enough to scare you in the best way, and they have to be challenging enough to where you feel like you're going to tap into motivation and discipline in order to accomplish them. So the overarching goal definitely needs to be big, but this is big for you. This isn't big to impress other people. So my version of big and your version of big might be two different things based on where you're starting from, what your comfort zone is at, and getting out of that comfort zone, right? So you only know what you need for yourself. And this, again, is why understanding the outline of Act As If is useful, but you doing the deep dive to really clearly define that for yourself is just a key part of this process. You have to be willing to unblock your fears and handle your issues and figure out the challenges. If you are a person who sees a lifestyle for yourself, and this lifestyle is based on you being a world traveler, and you can imagine along the way there are going to be some hiccups, you know what I mean? Let's just say, for example, you are traveling in your own town. You're literally just in your car and you're going to a place you've never been before, and there is a problem with your phone. GPS isn't working. Okay, are you going to figure it out? Are you going to figure it out? Or are you going to freak out? So the version of you that is world traveling in places that have, different languages and different cultures, you can't afford to freak out, like you need to be solidifying the fact that you can figure it out now. So that way, when you are that version of yourself that is a world traveler, you're only going to feel so confident in what you're doing that it's so much more easier and it's much more fun. What you take away from world travel are these experiences where you're truly immersed in something that is enjoyable versus, oh my God, I'm just freaking out and I'm so drained from all these freaking out things that I did. And you get the vibe, right? The other thing is you have to go all in. This isn't something that you do just sometimes, because again, the version of yourself that is living the life that you desire, that version of you they went all in, right? They live in that life day in and day out. They live in that mindset. They live in that emotional state. They live in that self-care state. And so if you are neglecting these things today, you are not acting as if you are that actual version of yourself. You're only acting like an inconsistent person. And inconsistency sets a pattern of more inconsistency. So this is why making sure your goals and I'm going to say like your external goals and your internal goals, okay? External are the things that you do versus internal are the feelings and thoughts that you have and the behavior. You want to make sure that those are very tangible on a day-to-day basis, meaning they're small, they are easily accomplished. And when you're doing small, easily accomplished things, you're stacking your wins. This reinforces more confidence. This creates more momentum, and you're staying in that energy of consistency. Okay. The other thing is to stop obsessing. I've seen a lot of people with like their manifestation tips focused on, okay, you have to write this out. You have to do these mantras. Okay, there's a place and time for mantras and for like mentally affirming certain things. However, it's not the whole step. You can't stop there. And the other thing too is, let's use the millionaire example again. The millionaire isn't necessarily thinking about, I need $1 million. Why? Because they already have $1 million. So they're going to be choosing gratitude over wanting more. And I'm not saying that you cannot want for something greater once you reach the $1 million. You absolutely can. Again, going back to goals that push you. Once you get $1 million, why not get $1 million more? Who cares, you know? But what I am saying is you cannot skip the step of focusing on where you are right now with a sense of gratitude. Being grateful for where you're at now is not going to block these other things from coming to you. And I feel like that kind of happens in people's minds where it's like, okay, but if I accept where I'm at now, then I'm telling the universe that I don't want the other things. It's like, no, spend like 5 minutes on a genuine gratitude list. And when you're writing your gratitude list, let's say that you don't have that $1 million yet, but you have 500 in the bank. Can you be grateful for the $500 that you have, right? You have to choose this. I'm asking you, can you? I don't know. You know, you have to make it up in your own mind, but choosing to focus on where you're at right now with a sense of gratitude is also very key. Now, visualization is also helpful, but there's a trick in visualization. I find that when you visualize the steps that you need to take every day and you accomplishing those steps with a sense of confidence, that's when you end up being able to take action. When you're just accomplishing the end goal, like that feeling of satisfaction after you get all your paperwork done, sometimes that doesn't actually motivate you to take action on doing the paperwork because you're tapping into the finished part of it versus the efforting energy that is necessary to accomplish the goal. And when we're talking about confidence, when we're talking about competence, we are going to do. There's a lot of action taking in the act as if process. So you can't act like a millionaire and then say to yourself, okay, well, a millionaire would just take the day off. Like, okay, but you haven't actually earned that. Like, and you have bills to pay. So those two things don't make sense. And that's actually part of self-sabotage. That is a really low energy that we really don't want to stay too long in. And we want to be very clear about when that's popping up and stopping us from taking action. Because thinking and feeling about the end goal are rewarding in the moment than doing the actual necessary grunt work that is required for you to get to that next level. But that's why when you break your goals down and you make them small and tangible, it's not going to feel like it's such a task to do things. You're going to get through things. You're going to be reinforcing the fact that you can figure it out, that you've got what it takes. And then it's just another day. It's just another day going back to that consistency of showing up for yourself and having your own back. Because no matter what level you get to, those things are always happening. You showing up and you having your back. There is no reality where that is not happening for you because you are responsible for doing all the things, okay? This manifestation process, this acting as if process, I can't do it for you. Your friends can't do it for you. The people who love you and care about you can't do it for you. You have to do it for you. The version of yourself that gets to where they want to go, they don't get there by doing nothing. Okay, just remember that when you feel like you don't want to do anything, give yourself the pep talk that you need and go ahead and start somewhere on your plan, your action plan for the day. I'm going to give you an example of where I want to be, but where I'm at right now. Okay. So I would love to have my podcast be a source of income. As of now, it is not a source of income, and I'm okay with that. I've accepted it, no big deal. But where I want to go is to have at least $1,000 a month coming in on the podcast. And I have no idea specifically what I need to put in place in order to have that happen. But what I know so far with the information and the research that I've done is that I need to at least maintain a sense of connection with you, the listener, and the audience, right? And more than that, I need to be giving you guys quality content, not just something that you tune out halfway through, because that would never push you to subscribe when I have subscriptions back up and running, or even donations. Like, that's not gonna, energy that's not great. You're not gonna want to invest in that, nor should you, So I have to be consistent now. I have to be consistent in pre and post production, because all of that as of now is my responsibility. I don't have a research team. I don't have an editing team. It's just me. So that means I have to take the time out of my day to research, to write notes, to organize this information, to head on into pre-production, and then actually recording, and then post-production of editing, uploading, and promoting. Again, all of this happens because of me, because I'm choosing to treat my podcast as if it is already making me $1,000 a month, and I have subscribers, and there's hundreds of thousands of downloads. So if I didn't decide to do this now, I would just be sitting around months and months from now and being like, I don't know where these people are. I want this money, but it's not coming. Oh my God, this is so sad. I feel so bad for myself, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to be in that energy. I don't want to be having that conversation with myself. So I'm basically going to avoid having that conversation with myself by doing the necessary work. I need to treat my podcast as if it has, the thousands of people that I want to already be listening to it and subscribing as well. But putting in the work is a key piece to acting as if, because again, that version of you didn't get there overnight. Like, you have to have patience. And I feel like this is where a lot of people have a lot of resistance, because, in today's society, there's just like this instantly manifest and quick results. And part of it is perpetuated with things happening so rapidly online that we feel like, okay, everything in life offline should happen exactly the same. When you are consistent, you are going to get your goals. Consistency is the key. All masterminds say this. All successful people say this. Sure, there are some people that win the lottery, right? But I'm pretty sure that they consistently played. And of course, there's going to be like 0.00001% of people that have never played and they win big. Okay, great. But that's probably not going to be you. It's definitely not going to be me. And I'm like fine with it, right? Like, I'm not going to cry about whatever. I'm just going to keep doing what I know I need to do. At some point, I am going to have to rise above the standard that I currently have for myself so that I can get what I want. I'm going to have to do some more research. I'm going to have to do some more understanding about my analytics, and I'm going to have to do more promoting for my podcast. And there's definitely stages of that. But in my mind, if I don't have good energy for you guys to be picking up on in the videos that I already have, well, it doesn't matter how many videos I might have or be wanting to do in the future. All that I can control is right here and right now. So I'm going to bring you guys the best that I can possibly bring you with my knowledge of awareness and my information. So that way we can start making these connections, and hopefully you guys will be longtime listeners, right? And then supporting me as we progress together and I keep bringing you some awesome content. So I hope that this does give you some clarity about acting as if. There's a lot of steps that are unnecessary. And some of those, I believe for most people, are spending too much time obsessing over the thing, where you have to think about it all the time and you can't let it go, and all of your questions to the universe need to be geared towards, when is this coming? How do I make it happen? You choose to make it happen with your consistency, with your trial and error effort. Okay, that is how things get done. If you had the means for someone to do it for you, great, but then you wouldn't feel satisfied. Like, you'd be sitting here still wondering like, what else can I do for myself? I feel like I'm unaccomplished and this is making me upset, whatever. We can break these things down and make them a lot more tangible when we're choosing to act as if it is possible, act as if we can figure it out. And so again, nail down the internal act as if that you want to embody right here and right now. Whether today's goals include getting organized and then doing one thing on that list, or it is, doing 50 things on the list, go ahead and do it, because something is better than nothing. And consistency means showing up for yourself every day to accomplish the internal and the external goals. So you don't need to necessarily write everything down. I've seen like the 5x5x5 manifestation work like method and the 7x77 where you're like writing things down, but all of that time that you're writing things down could have actually been spent doing something else, like in alignment with your goal. Okay, so I just want to hopefully clear the slate clean for all of you, so that way you can get really granular about how to act as if. And of course, if you guys have any questions, you can feel free to drop them in the comments on YouTube, or you can message me at the 909-619-2831 phone number that I have, and we can chit chat there about everything. But I really want to thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and cheers.